Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in our eyes. They know we'll burn down tonight. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it out tonight. We're gonna let it out tonight. just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. You know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down tonight. Only just like the sunrise.
All right, we should be good to go now. Sorry. I I'm home now. Obviously, you can see I'm in my normal setup, and I did not have my mic hooked up as the main mic on my streaming software. So, apologize for that, but we are good to go now. What's up, y'all? Doing pretty well. Obviously, I'm back home, and life's going good. First day of work. I didn't go into the office today. My manager wasn't in. Plus, I don't know why I was just like super stuffy today. So just yeah, not great. I feel definitely better now. My nose is not stuffed and not running. It was literally like that pretty much most of the day. But it's pouring outside. It's dark, it's cold. So I just chilled inside, got a lot of work done today. But I will be going into the office tomorrow and I will be hanging out, meeting up with one of my friends. I actually met down in Houston and we're gonna go to the gym and then go get a bite to eat afterwards tomorrow. So after work, I'm planning on doing that. But it's crazy. It's tomorrow is gonna be a Wednesday and then Thursday, Friday, and it's the weekend already. So time is moving fast and there's not enough time to get stuff done because there's tons of stuff to do. But I was actually very productive today. I'm pretty proud of myself. But I sustained that through the whole entire year. Had a good time off. I was still productive during the time off, and now it's time to grind and work some more. So I am excited for that. Not too many things update wise. Went and watched the Texas game last night over with some friends in the ward, and it was a crazy game. Like Texas was doing well, then honestly Washington just had a heck of a game. Michael Penix, he was just diamond out there. He was throwing crazy throws, and his receivers were catching. Well, honestly, his throws were just so perfect. And Washington ended up winning the game, but Texas was down 13 points with like 2 minutes left, and they literally had a chance to win the game at the very end, but they just couldn't do it. They can score at that. They're on like the 15 yard line. They had two shots at it, and they couldn't convert. So that was a pretty crazy game. We thought they were done for, 13 points down, but they came back, and it's just too little, too late. So that was unfortunate. But it'll be a pretty interesting uh, national championship. Michigan versus Washington. Honestly, people are saying like, I don't know, Washington's pretty good. Their offense is pretty dang good. But Michigan overall, I think, is the better team. I think they have a better coach. Uh, Washington has the better quarterback, but Michigan has the better like running back. They're more slow style offense. I think they have the better defense as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Oh, I also got my Aura ring in the mail. It's kind of weird just having a ring on my finger. So they say to put it on the index finger to help track your stuff better than if you put it on like a ring finger or middle finger. And I wanted it. This is my left hand, so I wanted it on my left hand. That way, I can still just do most of everything with this right hand. So I'm still getting used to it. Fits well, but just like picking stuff up and just doing stuff with it. Also, the fact it's not just like a normal ring. It's a it's like a smart ring. So I don't want to like I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure it's pretty durable, like Apple Watches and stuff like that. But I just don't want to like this is like $350, so I don't want to just like like treat it like a normal ring, I guess. So we'll see how it tracked my sleep tonight. I've not been very active, so it's been telling me I've not been very active today, but doing work. Uh, Kind of my rest day today, but tomorrow I'm kind of like also getting to peak week, so I'm kind of like max out my weight. I actually lost a little bit of weight over the past day or so. I'm like 208 right now on the scales, but at my peak, at like how much I weighed, I was like 210.4 or somewhere around there. So, and I couldn't consistently track that during the holidays just because I didn't have a scale, unfortunately, but 210.4 was the max I measured at. So I had my goal. And then we're gonna do peak week, probably like Friday or Saturday. I'm gonna go out with my friend Andrew, and we're going to max out. I don't know what we're gonna max out yet. I definitely want to max out bench, maybe incline, maybe overhead press. We'll see how much juice I have. So I might just like overkill myself, but definitely most things upper body we're gonna max out. So that'll be fun, and well, hopefully that goes well. All right, let's go ahead and hop into tonight's topic is winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. So this was actually, I think, based off of a tweet. Honestly, I'm just going to say tweets from now on. I think, honestly, forever until people dramatically just like forget Twitter ever existed and it was always X. Because X posts just like don't sound good. Like tweet sounds good. They're gonna have to come up with some other name other than X posts or post on X. It's just too long to say. Excuse me. Yeah, it's just too long to say. So I just like tweet. So I tweet that Rich Cooper had. He's like, winners focus on winning, losers focus on the winners. I think he had some sort of picture or something like that. Someone like commenting. That's how I had my thumbnail. It's like, oh, like they're hanging on this one other person, and it's like in reality that guy's the loser because he's focusing on the guy that is winning, and the guy that's winning doesn't acknowledge or really listen to the hater. He just kind of does what he does and keeps winning. So kind of like the winning mentality. And I talked about in my first live of the marathon of lives I did at the end of the year. I talked about books as well, so I'm going to go into like the chapters of the book by Tim Grover. But before I hit that, winners, they manage their attention and their focus very closely. Like Rich Cooper also in his book, he always says like manage your F's. Just because you only have so much attention, you only have so much energy, you almost only have so much focus you can allocate something to at a certain time and during the day. It's like you can't like all the stuff, the haters and the stuff distracting you, like you can't even pay attention to that because you should be focusing on what's in front of you and getting the stuff done and winning. And by doing stuff, getting stuff done, doing the work, that immediately translates to work to winning. Listening to the haters or listening to people complain or complaining yourself, that doesn't contribute to you winning at all. It actually delays it or completely steers you off the path of winning because that's a whole different slippery slope to go down. That doesn't get you in the right mind space and the right headspace. So that's kind of sums up like that initial like winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. It's the priorities, it's the focus, and at the end of the day, this is another one of my lines, but people that hate usually come from below. They don't come from people actually being successful. A lot of successful people actually encourage the people that are grinding and trying to build themselves up. And that's how I think it should be. And I'll go into another tweet by Chris Williamson that I think is really interesting as well, because it's true and it hits home. All right, so let's go into the book. Now, I love this book, Winning by Tim Grover. It's on my top 10 books every guy should read in 2024. This is actually the second book he wrote. The first one, Relentless, which I have somewhere over there. I pulled out my books and I need to I need to like get a bookshelf and put them up. I don't know if I'm gonna do it in my room. Room's kind of small, so I might just do it right outside. Or if I can somehow get like a really skinny bookshelf thing to go on the side. Actually, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe in this corner. We'll see. But obviously, I'm not going to go through the whole book. I'm not going to do necessarily a review of the book, but I thought even just highlighting, because I remember a good amount of stuff from this book, the table of contents. Now, if you actually get the book, I recommend you getting the book, and you could probably take a screenshot of this. But this is the table of contents, and I'm just gonna just read the table of contents because this is, and for those of you who don't know the context of like who the author is and what this kind of like who what this book features is this guy Tim Grover. He was the trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, lots of very successful professional athletes, and those are some of the notable. Also Dwayne Wade as well, and he literally was surrounded by winners. He was a winner himself, so he what he implements in his practice with training athletes, and then what he saw from the winners that he did train was is kind of the contents of this book. So we'll go kind of down the list of he has like 13 different like attributes or different chapters that encompass winning. So he calls it the winning 13. And first one is, and it's funny because there's 13 of them, but he lists each one as number one. So like they're all equally important and of the same importance because you need all of them in order to win. So first one, winning makes you different and different scares people. And it's true. Once you kind of reach a certain level, there might be in this, and a good example of this is like friends. For example, doesn't mean you're like a dick to them and doesn't mean you belittle them or whatever, but you just don't, like I said, we talked about at the beginning, the attention and the focus. That doesn't mean you won't necessarily like, hey, when I'm in town, I might like stop by and see you and we can talk a little bit. But you're not going to be like, all right, mate, I can't really hang out every single night because I got to get stuff done. And maybe some of the boys that you hang out with, I know I've definitely done this with some of my friends, older friends, but either doing stuff that I don't really enjoy or I don't really think it's good, or they're just not super productive or as productive as I want to be and kind of the goals and where I want to get in life. You kind of have to allocate time elsewhere. So friends that maybe aren't as ambitious as you might have hung out with them all the time in college or high school, but as priorities change and as your life goals change, what you want out of life changes, then you're not going to be spending as much time with them. And like I said, it doesn't mean you're addicted to them and you're like, oh, you suck, like I'm way better than you. It's actually quite the opposite. You usually try to help them. But sometimes at the end of the day, like some people don't want extra help. They're kind of content where they're at. And that's totally fine. It's fine for them. That doesn't mean that you should stay there with them as well. And unfortunately, some people see that as, oh, you're not staying here with me. You're going out and bettering yourself. Like shame on you type of a thing. And I don't think that's right. So that's that first one. Winning makes you different and different scares people. Just because, especially when you come back and people haven't seen you in a while and you've really leveled up your life. I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that people haven't necessarily said because I'm still kind of the same character in person, but maybe some of the stuff I do is definitely different. But they might say, hey, you're different, or I like the old you better. And a lot of times that might be seen as a negative thing, but honestly, that's like kind of a positive thing. People saying it probably seem as a negative thing, but take that as a compliment, to be honest. Just because you've leveled up, you've completely changed who you are to something better. You've leveled up. All right, next one. Winning wages war on the battlefield in your mind. It's true. It's all mental, as my friend Jordan Short would say. Everything's mental, and if everything's not straight up here and kind of in its right space, you're not in the right headspace, then you can't really perform, you can't execute, then you're pretty much useless. So get your head right first. If you can, if you can kind of battle the demons inside your mind, and then, like I said, execute and actually implement stuff and do turn that into action in your life and get that done, then the results usually will follow. So that's that one. It's a big mentality one. I could probably have a whole live on just like Mamba mentality. And honestly, at this point, my life and my career are probably not the best embodiment of that. I definitely have parts of my life and I'd say seasons of my life where it's definitely like that, but it's not as much my personality as, say, a couple other people I know that have been really successful. All right, next, winning is the ultimate gamble on yourself. At the end of the day, you have to have confidence, and receipts and experience help you gain confidence. When you gain confidence, that helps get to success. And once you keep winning and winning and winning, that even breeds more confidence and more receipts and more experience. So it's just a big cycle. Instead of a spiraling cycle down, it's a spiraling cycle up. It's a catalyst. It's jet fuel to your rocket. All right, next. Winning isn't heartless, but you'll use your heart less. At the end of the day, winning's tough, and you have to make hard decisions. And it's interesting. I can't remember if it was this book or Relentless, but he talks about like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan. They kind of had like some dark sides to them that in the public eye was that very negative, but actually fueled them to win even more. And they kind of had to embrace their dark side of them. So there's pros and cons to winning. You at some point, I don't believe that you should like sell everything you have to success. I think you can keep a lot of morals and keep your self beliefs and your own beliefs and not compromise them in order to win and still be just as successful. But I will admit, like, in order to be the most successful, the best ever, then that requires sacrifice, and it might require you to sacrifice some stuff and it's almost like sell your soul a little bit to it because you're that obsessed with it. I mean, that's kind of what Kobe did. All right. Winning belongs to them, and it's your job to take it. So winning belongs to your competitors. It belongs to everyone else because they're working just as hard of you, if not harder. They have just as much resources, if not more resources. Usually more resources. Like the odds are typically against you, so you have to go out and take it. And nothing's really given to you because everyone's there, especially the underdogs. Like even if you're the top dog at the time, the underdogs, they love. Everyone loves an underdog, and everyone loves when the underdog beats the long-standing champion. And if you're that long-standing champion, or if you're that underdog, you understand how it feels, and you might have a little momentum on your side. But when you're the champion, then it might work a little bit against you. So you always have to take it. It starts over every season. It starts over every year. It starts over every quarter. You just got to take it. All right. Next one. Winning wants all of you. There is no balance. And like I said, sometimes if you want to be the best, the very best you can like possible in the world, then that requires sacrifice and seasons where there is no balance. That's why like work-life balance, I don't really think there is such thing as work-life balance, and any successful person will say there's times where they don't see their family or they don't spend as much time with their kids in certain days, but they work those certain days extra to then make when they can see their kids or spend time or be present at other things, then they can be fully present. So there's sacrifices with it. All right, next. Winning is selfish. It kind of goes back to kind of doing what it takes. All right, next one. What this I really like this one. Winning takes you to hell, and if you quit, that's where you'll stay. So Tim Grover has this unique analogy of like the path to success and winning is you like crawl and drag yourself through hell and do all this unimaginable hard stuff in order to get and earn the win. and earn being successful, being on the top of that mountain. And then once you're at the top of the mountain, once you win that championship or whatever you're striving for, in order to get that same accomplishment, maybe the next year or the next season, you have to do the exact same process. You have to go back down into hell. And you could get stuck there as well. And that is not a place you want to be. But you always have to constantly go through the hardships. It's like also the analogy when you get to the top of a mountain, you get to the top and you realize there's other taller mountains to climb. And in order to climb those mountains, you can't just go straight across and up. That's not how mountains work. You get to a mountain, the summit of a mountain, and then you have to go back down, and then you have to climb that higher mountain, and then you get to the next mountain. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So you always have to go through that journey, that process of going back down through the hard things, and then going right back up to the top, or striving to go back to the top. Next one. Winning is a test with no correct answers. That's very true, just because people try to sell the idea of there's a one way to do this, one way to do that, and this is like in order to be successful, you need to wake up every single morning, do 15 minutes of meditation, then jump in your cold plunge, and then right after your cold plunge, you have to go into your red light therapy sauna, and then right after that, you hit the gym, and then right after you hit the gym, like before you know it, you're doing like 3 hours of prep, and you're like, it's like 11 o'clock, and I haven't done like any of my work. Where it's like people are saying you have to wake up at 4 a.m. every single morning and meditate and do all this stuff, and at the end of the day, like you don't have to do that. You have to find what works for you, but that's the hard thing. And you can take a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience from other people, just because, especially for one myself, I'm not super experienced yet, per se. More experienced than I'd say the average person. It's definitely the average, and people younger than me. But there's lots of other people that I can take advice from. But then also that means like I don't have to wake up at four a.m. every single morning and do the cold plunges and doing all the stuff that all these like optimal people are doing. Does it help? Definitely can. There's lots of scientific benefits to it. Should you try doing it? Yeah, why not? At least try it. But there is no correct answer. There's no one way to success in winning. Next one. Winning knows all your secrets. So any weak points that you have, any insecurities that you have, success, winning, they know how to exploit all of those in your competition. They know how to exploit them. So you need to focus on not only making your strengths stronger, but making your weaknesses not as weak. You don't necessarily, I don't think you necessarily have to turn them to strengths per se, but you can fill in a lot of weaknesses that you have with other people. You can hire other people. You can add other people to your team. Like for example, on the championship Bulls team, the the two three-peat teams, like Jordan was the scoring. He didn't necessarily have to play all the defense. He was all defense, but the main defensive guys were Scotty and Rodman. Jordan didn't have to get all the rebounds or whatever. That's what he had Rodman for. And Jordan didn't have to necessarily hit all the threes. That's why he had Derek Harper. That's why he had Steve Kerr for his shooters. Paxton. All right, winning never lies. At the end of the day, whoever wins, there's no there's no cheating to winning, and those who cheat don't truly win. And yeah, basically whoever's at the end of the day, and even if they did cheat, that means somewhere you probably were flawed, and you can see that they were cheating. But anyway, kind of besides the point. But at the end of the day, winning never lies, and you have to do what it takes. You can't take any shortcuts. Essentially, you have to do what it takes to actually win. All right, a couple more. Winning is not a marathon. I think this one's really interesting. Winning is not a marathon, it's a sprint with no finish line. I do, I actually, thinking about it again, reading that last part, a sprint with no finish line, I do agree with that, just because I think, I like this quote also that Hormozy says, and he says that winning isn't just like a single moment. It's like winning keeping on doing what you need to do to win. It's like the win like for example in a marriage, like you don't win a marriage by getting married. You win a marriage by like staying married. You win in business by staying in business. Like that's how you win. Now obviously for every single example that might not be the case, but in a lot of especially long-term things, long-term winning, endurance, like actually winning is just consistently staying in it, doing the things that you need to be doing. And then very end, one is winning is everything. So this is a great book. I recommend everyone to read it. Lots of good stuff about winning and just mentality, and it will push you to your limits. And maybe some of the stuff is definitely far fetched, but I think anyone who truly wants to win and has experience winning something in the past, like can agree with this and embody a lot of it in our own lives. All right. A couple more points I wanted to hit, and then I think we'll call it a night. I really love this concept of when you're winning, you're focusing on winning, and I think a concept of not just focusing on winning for yourself, but you're focusing on like net winning for everyone around you as well. That doesn't mean just like every single random person you're like handing them money or like trying to help every single person you can, but the people that want the help and that come to you and are searching for it, you help them. I love it when like Jay Waller, he says whenever someone asks for a picture or someone asks like advice or a question to him, he'll always take the time to answer it. And I think that's awesome, and I think it should be that way. And then even with people that maybe don't necessarily are like your true fans, but people that you care about that are close in life or people that you had maybe a past relationship with them, not like wishing on their downfall per se. And even if they're enemies, which once I read the How to Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet David, I talk about like what it means to have an enemy and choosing the right enemy. Because I think having an enemy is a very good power to use them to fuel and motivate yourself and allow you to perform at your best. That doesn't mean just like wishing on their downfall per se, so that you have to do less work, but being happy for them and their success. But then like, all right, maybe he's doing that. I need to take it up to the next level, or maybe like he's doing something totally different that I would never want to do. But like if you're happy, then like good for you. I kind of take that word of advice for say someone gets married to like someone who's like really iffy, you're like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have married that person. But like at the end of the day, like you're your own human. You can choose whatever you want to do. You're an adult. But like I wish you the best. I'm like happy for you. If you're happy, great. Wish you the best. If you come for me to advice, I may say tell you something different. But if you're not asking for advice or whatever, good for you, bro. Wish you the best. Good luck with life. If you need anything, just let me know. And if you like, disclaimer here, if you do ask me for advice or you ask me for my opinion on something, I will give you like my truth and the opinion I have on it. So, but I think genuinely being happy for other people, whether they win in life or whether they do whatever in life, like, hey, at the end of the day, you do you. All right, and then this one of these last points that I have: hate always comes from below. This is a I don't think Rich Cooper necessarily coins this term, but I think it's true because at the end of the day, people that are more successful than you, if they see you're trying to grind and you see that you're trying to become successful yourself, they know what it was like to go through the grind themselves. So they're more inclined to actually help you and give you tips and pointers. Sometimes they'll might tell you the blunt truth and you might not want to hear it. Like I hear, for example, in Shark Tank, like Kevin O'Leary all the time, he says if someone doesn't have like a good idea for a business or they just pour all their life savings into it and it's not working. It's like, hey, it's not working. It's a terrible idea. You should do something else. Sometimes it has to be blunt like that. But that's not hate per se. That's just like it's truth. But hate always comes from below. Like for example, the comments of whatever videos. Like I even had friends tell me it's like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? They're like, and I talked about in my one of my other lives. At the end of the day, it's like people think you're dumb and stupid, and they might hate, but They won't keep hating if it works. And even if it does work, they might even hate you even more. And this leads to this last point I'll hit before we end. But a tweet from Chris Williamson. This guy's sick. I love him. He says, and talked about this when he was doing his podcast with Alex Hormozy, and he says, when you're on your way up, everyone roots for you. This actually might be a Hormozy quote that he's actually quoting. So I don't know who actually had the original quote, but he brought it up when they were talking to each other. When you're on your way up, everyone roots for you because you remind them of their dreams. When you're at the top, everyone tears you down because you remind them of what they gave up on. I think that hits home super hard just because, like I said, everyone thinks you're dumb and stupid until it actually works. And even the opposite, some people might root for you. It's like, hey, you're doing your little small business or like whatever, that's cute. Like, good for you, keep trying. But then once you actually make it big time, they're like, oh, actually, that's just like a stupid idea anyway. Like, I don't know why you're doing that. Or I do have a big respect for like the door to door salespeople. Like, I did it myself, and you can make tons of money, and people have made tons of money, like millions of dollars doing this. Is it the only way to success? No. Is it a way to success? Yes. I guess the one critique I have, I don't think it's sustainable, and that's why they kind of have the structure where it's like, all right, you recruit someone, they recruit someone, they recruit someone. It's like it's a pyramid, but all businesses are pyramid. Like, if you can get enough people under you, you can just scale your work, and you don't have to your efforts alone obviously make you money, but then you can use the efforts of other people to make you even more money. So it's scaling your time and your resources. It's leveraging other people to make you money. So it's not like I disagree with it or anything, but I will say that that's I think that's where the real money's at. The money isn't necessarily from you doing individual sales or whatever, unless it's like some high ticket sales. Because at the end of the day, even like lawyers and stuff, you only can cap out the max amount of hours you can work in a day is 24 hours. You can't do more than 24 hours in a day. It's just not it's not possible. But you have to leverage other things, and they leverage, and that's how they make the real money. That's why you see these guys buying real estate and the Lambos and all that. It's because they're leveraging all these other people to knock for them, and then they get money off of these other people selling. So that's the smart idea. The idea of myself. That's why I was way more interested in the actual recruiting part of door to door sales rather than the actual selling part, because I was average at selling, and I'd say I was probably average at recruiting as well. But I knew if you can scale recruiting a lot more, and it makes you a lot more money than just spending time a lot of time just selling individually. But that's an important aspect of recruiting as well, because you need to have the testimonial, the experience, the proof, like, hey, I did this, you can do this too, type of thing. So I do recognize the importance for actually selling yourself. But but it's true, yeah. A lot of these guys, they like make so much money, and like a lot of people hate on them, and and yeah, at the end of the day, they're successful and they work hard. Like, I give props to them. Do I do that anymore? No. I think there's like I'm on a different path, and I think I'm on a different path that potentially lead to even more success than that. To be honest, and that's actually a thing that drives me a little bit. But um, I actually might do a live on just like things that drive me, but I might get a little bit too personal, so I may just keep that list to myself. But anyway, it's true. Like, when you're doing your little thing, people cheer for you. But then when you kind of actually make it big time and you become successful, and you're kind of like, maybe you're out earning people that have normal jobs and stuff, they're like, oh, actually, that's like kind of stupid. Like, why are you still doing that? Well, I make a lot of money. But that's the end of tonight's. At the end of the day, winning requires what's the word for it? It requires extra. Not that's not the word for it. It requires abnormal persistence and consistency and willingness to work hard. And it requires extra effort. It requires not going against the grain and not following the norm. Just because if you do kind of what everyone else is doing, like, yeah, maybe after 50 years, after your entire career, like you could be then called successful and be making a lot of money or having a lot of impact. But there's other paths and other ways that you can do that a lot faster as well. And you kind of see like other people like it takes a long time. It takes a long time to be like a CEO of a company or whatever the traditional way. And that doesn't take away the fact that there's a lot of good things that come from that through those years of experience. But if your sole kind of thing is to be like a CEO or like be a leader of a company, like you can probably just like start your own company. To be honest, if that's like your lifelong goal. But that also doesn't make you necessarily a good CEO and a good founder of a company either. So there's trade offs. But at the end of the day, in order to become extraordinary, you have to do. This is what I want to say. At the end of the day, if you want to become extraordinary, you have to do extraordinary things. You just can't do what everyone else is doing. Just because it's proven. Like if you do what everyone else is doing, you're gonna just be average. And at the end of the day, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being average, but most people see themselves as above average, which is statistically impossible. So you have to do extra stuff and you have to do extraordinary things in order to become extraordinary yourself and be a winner. Not everyone can win, unfortunately. That doesn't mean everything's a net zero game, though. I will say that it's like money and finance. Like just because one person's making a lot of money doesn't mean that I'm taking money away from someone else per se. But there are definitely things that I'm doing that causes me to be more successful than someone else. At the end of the day, like you can't just sit on your couch, eat Cheetos, and watch Netflix all day or play video games all day and expect to be above average. You just got to put the work in, do the work. All right, leave it at that. Check out another live. I'll be going live Thursday night as well. So look out for that. Look out for more content. Might try to squeeze out a couple more pieces of content tonight before I head to bed. But as with everything, trying to help you guys get stronger, smarter, healthier, wealthier. So go ahead, follow for more tips, follow for more lives. Always stay pumped. I actually might get a neon like this hashtag stay pumped. I'm coming up with new shirt designs. I should be ordering some probably by the end of the week. I'm thinking of like I have a Rising Sun one, a Samurai one. I'm also thinking of a Stay Pumped shirt as well. I came with that idea the other just today, and I also want to see if I can create a hat. I want to want to do the thing that Hormozy does. Like anytime he actually starts like a company or whatever, first thing he does. This obviously isn't the first thing I've done stuff before this, but first thing he does is make a hat for it because then it's like legit. I think that'd be cool to have a hat because I growing my hair out and I've been wearing and I will be wearing a lot of hats from now on, especially during the awkward phases. But all right, I'll leave it at that. You know what time it is. Cue the outro.